Honkai Star Rail has a wide variety of characters to choose from, however you want to make sure that you are using your hard-earned jades on good ones. Hello everyone, my name is Fireheart and today's video is about which are the best characters in Honkai Star Rail so far. These are my top 10, but they come in no particular order. Also make sure to subscribe, we are almost at 100 subscribers. And remember, when we hit that goal, I will be starting Minecraft Hardcore. But let's continue to the video. First off, we have the general of the genshin lawful for centuries, Jin Yuan. He is an AoE focused character. His basic attack is the only thing that hits for a single target, and both his passive and his burst summons the Lightning Lord. The first to smite down enemies within the action list, and the second, his burst, deals great amount of lightning damage. The more enemies on the field, the more the damage. Jin Yuan is a great character, however I think the recently released Kafka is superior, but either way you won't be losing if you have him in your party. A High Elder Vidyadhra of the genshin lawful, Bailu's knowledge of the medicinal arts knows no bounds. However, she is always the first to prescribe weird medication. In combat her healing is great, however her skill's healing decays as long as the match drags on. And of course her skill targets one ally, but heals two others at random. For her burst, Bailu heals all allies and applies invigorating to them. What is invigoration, you may ask? Invigoration is Bailu's talent that makes it so every time an ally with this status take damage, they will heal for a percentage of Bailu's max HP, plus a set flat amount. And whenever an ally with this status will be knocked down, they get resurrected, but this effect can only be triggered once per battle. Captain of the Silverman Guards and Serval's little brother, Gepard Landau, is in charge of Belobog's defense, and this shows in his gameplay. The main piece of his kit is his ultimate that unleashes a massive ice wall that will generate shield for each party member based on Gepard's defense. His skill attacks the enemy with a 65% chance to freeze them, making it so that they cannot move and take extra damage. If he ever falls in combat, his unyielding will gets him back up again, with a set amount of his HP back and 100% of his ultimate if you have his Ascension 4 major trace unlocked. This can only be triggered once per battle though. The current Supreme Guardian of Belobog and ex-commander of the Silverman Guards, a character that exists in multiple Horrorverse titles, sometimes more than once per game. Ronya is a support that will increase the damage of a chosen character and make them take their turn immediately, and with her burst she can increase the damage of the whole party at once. Even her technique can increase allies' attacks before the fight starts. Her normal attacks aren't the main focus, however one of her traces guarantees that you will crit every single basic attack that you can shoot at the enemy, as one of her talents will make it so when you do need to basic attack, Ronya's turn will come sooner. She is probably the best character from the standard banner. Even though we don't have much information for Dan Heng's new dragon form, commonly called Imbibitor Lunae, I'm still putting it on the list because he's about to release and we can already play him with the story. His skill powers up his basic attacks based on the amount of skill points you use. Using one skill point will make it a single target 3-hit attack. For 2 points you'll get a single target for 3 hits and the adjacent damage on the 4th and 5th hit, and for 3 points it starts the same. However, the 4th to the 7th hit it attacks adjacent enemies with increased power from the 2-pointer. His ultimate unleashes a single enemy attack that also targets adjacent enemies for splash damage, and also obtains 2 stacks of Squama Sancrosacta that can be consumed instead of skill points to empower his normal attacks. Additionally to all this, his talent increases damage of each hit, and his technique in addition to dealing damage will make him start combat with 1 stack a Squama Sacrosancta. The Stellar Hunters hacker and ether editing and fellow gamer. The small Ronya, Silver Wolf, contrary to the big one, prefers to debuffing the enemy, of course, in battle. With her skill, Silver Wolf has a high chance to implement a new type weakness to the enemy, and it further reduces the resistance to the implemented type. In addition, she will reduce all type resistance to the hit enemy. All of this plus a little bit of damage. Her ult is far more simple, it just decreases the target's defense for 3 turns and deals damage. Her talents make it so that she has a high chance of her attacks to implement a debuff to the enemy, which can either reduce their attack, reduce their defense, or reduce their speed. Her technique is quite useful, since it reduces their toughness, regardless of the type they are weak to, while also dealing a bit of quantum damage. It's safe to say that with this little punk lord on your team, the enemy will have a bad time. The Immortal Swordsman of the Stellar Hunters, Blade in the Path of Destruction, is quite accurate. Instead of spending loads of skill points like Dragon Hand, Blade uses a single point to transform his basic attack into a force to be reckoned with, targeting a single ally but also attacking the adjacent enemies. But of course, this skill requires more than skill points. It will also cost you 30% of Blade's HP, and even the basic attacks will consume his HP. However, when Blade loses HP, he gains 1 stack of charge. When charge reaches 5, he will immediately launch a follow-up attack to all enemies and restore 25% of his max HP. His ultimate sets Blade's HP to 50% and deals damage to an enemy that increases with the amount of HP he lost this battle, capped at 90% of his max HP, which will be reset every time he unleashes his ultimate, while also dealing some extra damage to adjacent enemies. This technique consumes his HP to deal damage to all enemies when entering combat. For notable traces, his Ascension 2 increases incoming healing. He will also restore a little HP if he breaks enemy weakness for Ascension 4, and Ascension 6 increases follow-up attack damage. The Spirit Whisperer of the Stellar Hunters, who knows no fear, and since she kinda created the Trailblazer, this one truly deserves the title of Mommy. Kafka uses her powers to deal damage over time to enemies. With her skill, Kafka attacks an enemy and adjacent to it. If the enemy has a damage over time applied to it, the skill will cause it to proc it immediately without consuming the status effect. Her ultimate deals damage to all enemies and they all become shocked, taking damage from the DOT. The enemies will be shocked for 2 turns. With her talent, she will launch a follow-up attack when teammates basic attack that will cause shock similar to the ones from the ultimate. Her technique attacks enemies and also applies the same shock. Safe to say that her beauty isn't the only thing you'll be shocked by. The foreign trader from beyond the seas who appeared on the Lawful with a huge coffin. Locha is not only a trader, but is also versed in the consummate medical skills, rescuing people in their time of need. This reflects in his kit. With his skill, Locha can heal allies while gaining stacks of abyss flowers. Also, whenever an ally drops to 50% of its health, Locha will immediately activate his heal, free of cost, but this can only happen once every 2 turns. For his ultimate, Locha attacks the enemy and removes one of their buffs, while also gaining 1 stack of Abyss Flower. The talent is what consumes these flowers. 2 of them will be needed to trigger a field that will cause ally attacks to heal themselves. His technique is basically starting the fight with his talent active. This odd merchant is the best healer in the game, so far if you ask me. The most sold banner in Honkai Star Rail so far, a key member of Belobog's underground wildfire, and the one who disappears among the sea of butterflies. Sila is the top pick for my #1 character, in Honkai Star Rail, as a character from the Hunt path. Her damage is focused on single target and getting her scythe to the enemy as fast as possible, and so her skill deals damage to an enemy and increases her speed by 25% for 2 turns. She also gains 20% extra speed from basic attacking if you have her Ascension 4 talent. You may expect something extraordinary from her ultimate, but no, it's just pure, raw damage to an enemy. Her talent, however, is something unique. Whenever she defeats an enemy, she will immediately get another turn with increased damage. This cannot be triggered twice in a row. Her technique makes her invisible to enemies, and when she enters combat, she will enter already in her buff state. Before we end here, I have 2 honorable mentions. First is the Trailblazer, the fire one to be specific. For a free character of the Path of the Preservation, the Trailblazer is quite nice, and you will also get all of their Eidolons for free. And also Tingyun. Tingyun's Eidolon, Special Eidolon 4, increases her power substantially. That is all for this video, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did so, leave a comment down below to tell me which character would you put on the list. And subscribe to see more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video.